This week on The Bachelor, Tyler Cameron gets pranked and Heather Martin stirs up some drama.
Yeah, what the I don't really know this girl and I kind of already don't like her.
I'm stressed out and pissed off.
Plus, Piper and Matt find a connection while Katie makes a shocking exit.
Yeah, you start painting your future only for it to be erased.
And Rachel Lindsay reveals what kind of pressure she thinks Matt James is under.
But even if Matt doesn't do what you want him to do at the end of the day, we need to recognize the fact that he is the first Black Bachelor. And we've been asking for representation for 18 years.
We've got that plus so much more on today's Here for the Right Reasons. Hey guys, Christina Garibaldi here with Us Weekly Associate Editor Sarah Heron. Hi Sarah, how are you?
Hi, Christina. I'm so good because I got to stare at shirtless Tyler Cameron. How are you?
So good. I feel like that was the only reason why he was on this episode. I'm not going to complain, but.
Oh, 100%. And we had Tyler, we had Heather, which was so awkward, but we also had a lot of relationships moving, right? There was a lot going on.
There was a lot going on in this episode, so let's unpack it all in our bracket of roses and kick it off with some of these connections.
Yes, we had Piper, who's kind of been under the radar, but now she got a date where he really pulled out all the stops with this county fair in Pennsylvania compared to last season's ring toss that was supposed to be a carnival with poor Brendan and his niece and Tayshia.
Poor La Quinta Resort just never will live up to the Nemacolin.
Oh my God, it's like not even fair. But Piper and like the performance and the whole thing. But what do we think of Piper? Do we think there's something here that was just like hidden in the back?
I think so. It feels like, well, he didn't drop the L-bomb like he did with Rachel. So I don't think it's that far along, but it definitely seems like he's into her. They really kind of, had a spark, it seems like, and she seems really into him. But I don't know. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Like, I just feel like, we were saying, all of this cloud of drama has been hovering over the show that we really haven't gotten to know these women at all, or really Matt. So we don't really know if these connections are happening behind closed doors or behind the scenes because we never see it.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff that happened in this episode felt like we were playing catch up. And I know we're going to get to Katie, but like, I just feel like there was a lot missing that we didn't get to see. And Piper is similar, but I like her. I think she's beautiful. I think they definitely have a connection. But for me, like the standout underrated was Michelle. I really love Michelle. And I feel like she's like the only quote unquote new girl really standing. Right. I know he sent home Ryan and maybe, I can't even remember if he sent home the other one. But I feel like Michelle at the group date was really getting to shine. They're both athletic. He seems to have like a natural, easy time talking to her. And she's only been there on like 3 episodes. And I feel like she gets a rose every time.
I think so too. I feel like that as well. I feel like, yes, like she's like the most normal one out of all of these girls. I also like Chelsea too. I don't know if they had that connection yet because she's only been on group dates and we really haven't seen her one-on-one, but it seems like every single time that they sit down and talk, they have like a really easy conversation. But again, still, we don't really know these women because we've just been so wrapped up in all of this drama. And it's really kind of taking away from the show, I feel like.
I know. I feel like Chelsea, I'm so relatable in that moment when she was like, don't give up on me. Like, I'm still here. And I was like, I feel like that's how I would be on the show. I'd be like, I'm scared of what's happening, but also like, I really like you. So just remember me. I'm here. But the problem with that is it's really far along. Like, we only have 10 girls left. And he definitely, your Rachel, you pretty much solidified in. I feel like Michelle's kind of solidified in. Keeps coming back to Serena P, maybe Brie a little bit. So I feel like he has strong connections. So these other women, I think they're great and he has like something with them, but I just don't know if they're developed enough or we're just not seeing it.
Right. And I can't believe like just in a couple weeks, it's going to be hometowns. It's like, where did this season go? I have no idea.
Like Kit somehow keeps like getting in the mix. Like there's a few girls that he genuinely likes, but we just only have seen snippets of it because we've spent so much time with the queen.
Yes, the queen. Yes.
Did you miss her at all this week, Christina?
I didn't. Did you?
I will say I had one person text me and I was like, I didn't want to say it out loud. I was a little bored, but I was like, no, that's not what I want. I just need to get to know these girls and get back in and focus on that because it's not what I want. I just had like a momentary lapse.
Well, we did have a lot of drama, which we will get to a little bit later on, but we have to talk about Katie. Well, let's talk about Tyler Cameron shirtless.
Okay.
Thank you, Bachelor producers. And that really kind of brightened up everybody's viewing experience, I felt. But it was a fun date. It didn't really show any connection between Matt and Katie because they were just kind of focusing on Tyler, which was really funny because he was getting pranked during this massage. But it turns out, he didn't really need that extra time with Katie because he sent her home.
I know. I feel like that date just kind of showed us that she's in the friend zone.
Yes, totally.
Like, they all looked like, it kind of was like if Hannah Brown was up there pranking Tyler with Matt. Like, I feel like that maybe was a little glimpse into what Matt's like outside the show. Because he was really funny and he was laughing really hard and he seemed at ease with her. But the true love story of this episode was seeing Matt and Tyler reunite. He was so happy to see his friend.
I've never seen him smile so hard throughout this entire season as when he saw Matt.
I know. People were like joking about that on Twitter. I'm like, no, I think it's real. Like, I think which makes sense. He's probably like over a month in at this point, still trying to figure out what the hell he's even doing and having these crazy feelings, I'm sure. And just finally seeing someone who isn't there to crash the show, which we'll get to Heather. A familiar face. Tyler had no ulterior motives. And I thought it was so funny when the masseuse was like, I'm massaging Tyler's thing. He's so hot. And Tyler just had to look at her. She's probably so used to it, but it just made me laugh.
I just love how Tyler said nothing throughout the whole thing too. He was like totally like going with it. He's like probably like, this is the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me, but
he had to know he was being filmed from every angle at all times.
I'm sure. But were you surprised that Katie was sent home?
I don't know. I think that I'm kind of surprised Katie didn't leave. I don't know why. I was kind of feeling like the one-on-one date, she definitely was getting frustrated because with the other women and Serena C and everyone kind of treating her like she did something wrong, which I don't think she did. But I also think that she maybe, I thought, would be feeling the friend vibes and realizing that maybe her time in the house was done. But instead, she was like really shocked. So I wasn't really surprised that these two aren't endgame, if you want to call it that. But I was kind of surprised that he was the one to send her home and she was like blindsided by it. I kind of thought she was maybe picking up on the friend vibes too. But I also think we missed something there.
Yeah.
Because it really felt like they had a lot in common and he just didn't explain it well enough. I don't know.
Maybe. I like trying to think back. I'm like, did they ever even kiss like on group dates or anything like that? Like I never even saw them kind of like take it to that next step. So yeah, I think you're right. I think she probably should have picked up the friend zone vibes way earlier. And, she was a friend to him during this whole thing. She was the one that went to him and said that there was bullying going on in the house, which, backfired on her with Serena C because like you said, I really don't think that she did anything wrong. She didn't call out these girls like she said. She's just like, this is what's happening. It's a toxic environment. Do with it what you want. So
yeah, normally I don't like the girl who decides to be the tattletale, if you want to call it that, or the one who spends her time talking about other girls with the lead, whatever it is. I usually really don't like them. But I really feel like Katie, I bought her genuine, like, things are getting so nasty in this house. It's uncomfortable for everyone. And she was doing it almost for the well-being of the entire house, not even for herself. It wasn't selfish. And I don't know if it really gave her much of an edge with Matt. Like, he thanked her for it, but I don't know. I think he more so then took it upon himself. It wasn't like, I don't know. I just feel like she didn't do it with bad intentions like other people did. And I wish she was explaining that more. Like, instead she just let Serena see, like, rip into her for no reason when she should have been like, I was doing this for you too. Like, you wanted to be in this horrible environment where everyone was like whispering about each other or openly calling each other horrible names.
Right. It's like, okay, whatever. So now there's all these rumors going around that she could be the Bachelorette. Do we think that she would be a good choice?
I do and I don't. She gives me a lot of Caitlyn Bristowe vibes. And Caitlyn was a great Bachelorette. She's obviously really funny, outspoken. I think she's cool. But I just think it's a little early to have committed to the Bachelorette like this. Like, I would love to see someone like Chelsea or Michelle if they don't win. Because I feel like maybe we're seeing like a softer side of them.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's better when you really get to see them get like heartbroken. I hate to say it.
Really? No.
But like, I don't know why we're going with someone who was in like the top 10.
I totally agree with you. We are only, week 6? We have 6 more weeks of the show. I feel like by the end of the show, we're going to kind of forget who Katie is, as mean as that sounds. Like, but I mean, we have a lot more story to tell, and we have a lot more time to get to know these girls on a whole different level. And like you said, we do like to see the heartbreak and the kind of, you know, them find their love story afterwards. And I don't really, yes, she's a strong, powerful woman and loves to stand up for women and things like that, which is great. But I'm not invested in her story.
Yeah, and I almost feel like we've seen it before. Like, I think she's cool, but I think we've almost seen it before, like with Caitlyn or with like an Andy Dorfman, and they were great at it. But I'd love to like mix it up. I feel like we've had it's like the same kind of type of woman sometimes.
It's also like, I wonder if they're rushing it because they have to get like production underway and they want to like maybe premiere it a little bit earlier because of everything going on with COVID and things like that. They have to. I don't know. That's the only thing that I can really think of is why they want to rush this, because they have to put everybody under quarantine for a couple weeks. So you lose that time. And I don't know. It just seems like a strange choice.
One thing I'll say that I do that is pro Katie is she's like 30 years old, which is good because some of these women are way too young. And as we've seen a lot of the couples crumble in recent seasons, I think a lot of it is because they're young. So I'm happy she's 30. And maybe that's one of the reasons, because their pool isn't that big, because we can't have 21-year-old Kit being the Bachelorette.
My God, no. And what are you going to have, like 18, 19-year-old Bachelor suitors? Like, no thanks. I can't watch it. No. All right. Well, like we said before, like we feel like this week we saw a new side of Matt. He kind of loosened up a little bit, and we saw, you know, him kind of maybe enjoying himself a little bit more. And a lot of people have been criticizing Matt for having his guard up and being a bit robotic. But as Rachel Lindsay explained, he is under a lot of pressure. Take a look. Do you think it was a bit unfair or not unfair, maybe that's not the right word, the right choice to pick somebody that hasn't been through the Bachelor system yet? Or do you think it's kind of refreshing that we haven't really known him before?
I think it's refreshing to get to know somebody new who we haven't seen before. I don't agree with the timing, which I've been vocal about, the timing and the announcement of Matt James. I don't like how he was rolled out to us, but I do like the fact that we have representation, and I do like seeing somebody new.
Yeah. What kind of, I mean, being the first Black Bachelorette, what kind of pressure is he going under right now, being the first Black Bachelor?
Well, I think Matt has more pressure than I did, because he's the first in a time in our country where there's a lot of civil, racial, social unrest. And he's representing himself as a Black man when, you know, Black voices thankfully are being amplified and put on, you know, like are finally being heard when we've been going through these same issues for centuries, but not everyone else is recognizing it. So now he's representing himself to America during this time. So I think that there are more eyes on him. There's more pressure. And then I also think he has pressure, because a different amount of pressure, because people are assuming what he's going to do because of what I did and what Tayshia did. And that is so unfair. You know, Matt is his own person. People should give him a chance. People should wait and see how it all plays out. But even if Matt doesn't do what you want him to do at the end of the day, we need to recognize the fact that he is the first Black Bachelor. And we've been asking for representation for 18 years. I think it's 18 years, and we finally got it. Let's not tear this man down when he just got here.
Yeah, I mean, nobody knows it better than Rachel, the kind of pressure that he is under. And
yeah,
he's handling it well.
I know. I think overall, I talked to JoJo and Jordan yesterday, and they told me they think he's the best Bachelor of all time. So it depends on who you're asking and who's watching, right? But I know he was getting a lot of the robotic stuff. And like you said, it was really nice to see him. And I think the Tyler of it all helped him feel more comfortable on the show. Because I'm constantly reminding myself when I'm watching this that this dude has never watched or stepped foot on a reality television set.
Poor guy. Just throw him to the wolves. Seriously. All right, well, let's move on to our cringe of the week. And Heather Martin from Colton season. We've been teasing this for like weeks and weeks and weeks, and she finally returned. And oh my God, it was so uncomfortable.
Yes, due to COVID, she had to quarantine at the hotel, and they made her do these like vlog type things. And just, you have to watch it for yourself if you didn't see it.
Oh my gosh, I just realized I am Rapunzel. I'm just gonna let down my hair. Matt can just climb on up.
I just can't understand why they kept going back to this so often. I'm like, they have nothing else to fill the time with. This is so
I know, and like, how long was she even really there? Because let's be honest, like they knew she was coming, and all of this was pre-decided, and I wonder how long they actually made her quarantine. Did they make her quarantine for this purpose, or was it a genuine concern for her health? There's a lot of questions.
There's so many questions, and I feel like they almost did kind of make a joke out of her, and I felt really bad for her, like, watching this. I'm like, this is so wrong.
I know. I have so many feelings about this Heather situation because, one, I genuinely believe she wanted to be there. She wanted to be with Matt. They encouraged her to do it. Hannah Brown probably was like, oh, they'll be great to you. Just go on the show. I would assume that they made it seem like to her, oh, you'll have this great entrance. Like, Matt will be super receptive to you. Like, don't worry if we keep you waiting for a while. It's just because we're waiting for the right time or the right time. I don't think she was totally clued in on 10 girls left. We're going to kind of make it look like you're desperate and like pulling up in a minivan and in a wedding dress and be insane. But I also think like she did, you know, put her fate back in the Bachelor producers' hands. Like, you cannot trust them, Heather. Like, why'd you do this to yourself?
Yeah, I wonder how she's feeling like after watching this back. And, you know, we kind of see the preview for next week and the girls go in on her. Like I feel like she probably leaves after
I think
that.
so too.
Yeah, because I mean, you see a little bit more of the previews and you don't really see her in it, and I feel like she was probably bullied out of the house.
Probably. I mean, any group of girls, I think this almost is like an excuse to like be upset and be mad and have their feelings be running wild, but because we've already seen them be so catty and mean, it's like gonna feel a little hard to like not be like, all right, girls, relax.
Yeah.
But this is like the one instance where I feel like they do have kind of a right because they are genuinely invested now. However, I always am just like, don't take it out on the girl.
Yes.
Take it out on Matt. If he lets her stay, then you should all be mad at him or the show. Heather is technically just a girl who showed up because you know, she likes Matt or whatever. But I saw this funny, I think it was like Nick Viall tweeted, like either Heather just wanted to be on TV or Hannah B's a really bad friend for not just giving her Matt's phone number.
Seriously. She said she's known Matt for like, they quarantined like this time last year. So she's known Matt for a while.
And he was named The Bachelor in June. So I get it. Like it's, you know, there probably wasn't that much of a window. But if I was Heather and I saw Becca Tilley post, like, this is why on Ben Higgins season, when I was coming back, I was like, I'm only going to go night one. Because we saw how the men treated Nick Viall when he kind of crashed Caitlyn's season. And Caitlyn and Nick had a genuine relationship. So that was more they felt threatened by him.
Right.
Whereas Heather, I think they're all just confused. I also thought it was hilarious to figure out which girls like knew who she was and who didn't. Like, who was like, who is this?
I know. The producer's definitely in somebody's ear being like, she was on Colton season.
Yes.
Say it.
Never been kissed. Somebody say it.
Somebody say it. All right. Well, another cringeworthy moment had to go to MJ and Justinia's 2-on-1 date. We talked a little bit about this last week, but whose side are you on at the end of this? Because obviously MJ went home, Justinia is staying.
Yeah, I think it played out the way I guess it was supposed to. I don't think MJ did a very good job taking accountability for anything she did wrong. Obviously, she was involved in some sort of this varsity versus JV thing, and Matt had just had enough. So I think anyone who was the most vocal about it, your Victoria, your MJ, and your Anna, like, just had to go. Like, he had to do a clean sweep of the mean girls. Serena C somehow snuck in. But he tried. Those were most have been the most vocal. So I think it was right. I would have sent them both home if I was Matt, because I just would have had enough. But I think MJ handled the situation kind of cringy.
Yeah, totally cringy. Do we think Serena C is going to stay until next week, or do we think her time is almost up?
Oh my God, I hope not. The worst part about Katie going home was Serena C thinking like it had something to do with her and him wanting time with her, and it's like, you're not on his radar. I don't really think. No, she's not like getting a hometown date or anything crazy. I think it's a matter of time. Right,
time's a ticking. All right, well, moving on to our Where Are They Now segment, and like we said, it was so nice to see a familiar face in Tyler Cameron when he stopped by for this pep talk. So it had us thinking, what has Tyler been up to? And so he splits his time between New York and Florida, right?
Mm-hmm. He splits his time between New York and Florida. He is running around. He's always like linked to these women. And right now there's a model who he's been spending a decent amount of time with, correct? Yes.
Yeah, a model that he's been seen with in New York and in Florida. I mean, I'm sure Tyler can get whoever he wants. I know. And it's interesting. I feel like he's kind of one of those guys who's been saying since the show ended, like, I just want to date and like be normal. But like every time I talk to a woman, like the media picks it up, and I don't really feel bad for him per se, but I do understand that must be bizarre to be, Tyler C
and go from being general contractor Tyler Cameron to Tyler C of The Bachelor and Gigi Hadid's ex, and then the whole Hannah quarantine of it all, and now whoever he's dating. It's definitely interesting, but I wish he would be The Bachelor.
I do too. I really do. I wonder if he's still like in the back of producers' mind. I can't imagine that he wouldn't be. I mean, I feel like a lot of people want to see him find love and find the one and want to be there on his journey with him. So, and then I feel like a lot of people also still want to see him back together with Hannah.
There's a little part of me, I have a few of these couples, the Courtney and Scotts of the world, that I know they're not right for each other, and it probably shouldn't happen, but I would celebrate another try for these two. I just do. Every time I feel like we both talked to Tyler about Hannah after the quarantine, and like I was just like, but please, like, what do you mean nothing happened? Like, I don't believe
it. I don't believe it for a second. But I know that Matt has spoken out in a couple of interviews and said that Tyler is super happy for Hannah, who has moved on. She is now dating a model as well.
Pretty people.
It's nice to be pretty. Dating pretty people. So he's happy for her, and they're both moving on. But it seems like they're still good friends, which is good.
Yeah, it should be interesting once Matt is out of like the Bachelor press cycle, and if he has a fiance or a girlfriend, to see how these worlds all come back together. Like, will Tyler and Hannah and their new significant others being out with Matt and his winner? Will it be more separate when Tyler's book comes out? Because apparently he wrote a book. Yeah. Will we get like a support from Hannah? Will Hannah be included in the book? Will Matt be included in the book? The best part about The Bachelor is these people, they stick with us and we get to follow them through the rest of their lives.
We really do. They never go away. All right. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for running down all things Bachelor with me, as always.
Anytime.
And tell everybody who's on the Bachelor podcast this week.
Oh, yes. Trista, the OG Bachelorette herself, is coming on here for the right reasons. The podcast, we're going to break it all down. I can't wait to get her opinion on who the Bachelorette should be, because if anybody knows, it's Trista. And, I'm always asking them about that Bachelorette group chat, and I got to find out what Claire's saying about Dale. So that's my goal.
Well, breaking news, Claire unfollowed Dale on Instagram, so it's getting messier by the minute.
It's getting messier. She had it all, and Benoit is commenting on her new pink hair, saying she looks good, so maybe those two are going to give it another shot.
Who knows? So much Bachelor drama, and we're going to break it down every single week. Make sure to tune into Us Weekly's YouTube channel every Tuesday afternoon. We're here for the right reasons, and we will see you guys next week.
Bye. Bye.